From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. It's a painful moment for the team at KUNC and the Colorado Sound. In recent months, we've talked on the show about how federal cuts to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting could hurt local member stations like KUNC. In July, that became a reality when Congress clawed back more than $1 billion in money from the public broadcasting system. And this week, station leadership announced 10 staff members have been laid off from KUNC and the Colorado Sound. That's about a quarter of the staff. So today, we're talking with KUNC's president and CEO, Tammy Terwelp, about the cuts and what they mean for the community in northern Colorado. Tammy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And I just want to note for our listeners, Tammy, you manage KUNC and the Colorado Sound, but you've had no input on this interview or how we will edit it.
Absolutely. I have no editorial input to any of our content programs, anything like that, no.
How much money did KUNC lose when public media was defunded in July? And how much money do this week's budget cuts save?
So what we know from the CPB, there still are things being figured out at that organization, which is in operation through September 30th. But the most immediate numbers that we have are around our community service grant, which is the main grant that public television and radio stations around the country were receiving. And for us, it was about $453,000 per year. So that's a really key number, is that it's not a one-time loss, it is per year.
Right.
And then there are also things that the CPB did for stations that the real monetary amount is yet to be determined. The biggest one is really around music rights negotiations.
Okay.
So the Corporation for Public Broadcasting essentially acted as an agent for all non-commercial CPB stations in negotiating those music rights with the various labels in commercial media production.
Okay. And our budget is around $5 million a year. Is that right?
It's a little bit more than that. It's about 5.75, closer to 6, actually.
Okay. That puts that in context. Now, KUNC saw tremendous support from its audience during our emergency pledge drive in July. Why weren't those dollars able to prevent these cuts?
That's a really good question. And so with the compounding of the 453, simple math, in a couple of years, that's close to $1 million. In a few more years, it's $2 million, and it keeps compounding over time. Naturally, as many people, and no matter what walk of life you're from, expenses are growing, exponentially. Rent, other services, things like that. So to try to keep up with that cut year over year just proved to be nearly impossible. There's so many services involved in producing radio and content, all the way through all of our computer systems that we use to the transmitters. We maintain over 20 transmitters and translators through mountain communities and things like that. So in order to stay viable as an organization and dedicated to our community service, that led to the financial situation that we are in.
Now, KUNC and the Colorado Sound lost the equivalent of 10 employees, with half of those cuts in the newsroom. How is this going to affect what the audience hears and reads from KUNC?
Yes, that is questions that have haunted me for weeks as I had to make the tough decision around our budget. One thing that has just been so heartbreaking is I've been here 4.5 years. And in a very quick amount of time, certainly in a public media timeline, the station has grown, the content has grown, the effect on the audience. KUNC was named Colorado Broadcasters Association Station of the Year for 2024. And so the effect that we were having to our community and on our outstanding news content, that's just one award, that the news station had won, a national Murrow. I mean, the list goes on and on. So it was a really, really difficult decision to have to make cuts anywhere in our organization. And being a nonprofit, we are very lean. There's no extra people or positions that we just have. It was really, really hard to come to where we could make those cuts. and still continue our level of service. So our commitment to the community remains as strong, if not more so than ever. We're going to have to make some decisions around specific coverage areas and things like that. Certainly the newsroom will need to do that. One thing that I think, and we can certainly talk about this more, but one thing I think that we will have to see amongst public media organizations around the country is much more collaboration and being a part of strategic partnerships, say, around coverage and partnerships such as the Mountain West News Bureau that we are a part of,
Sure.
The collaborative news project that we have with Colorado Public Radio, Rocky Mountain PBS.
Right.
So working smarter together is how to move forward, that we're not letting down our audience.
Tammy, you talk to and work with other station leaders in the public media system.
Mm-hmm.
How widespread are cuts like the ones we're seeing at KUNC, and what solutions are public media leaders looking at right now?
I've been in public media over 20 years, and I've seen a lot. And this is really something that has not been experienced at this level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was in the last week I read five stations making significant cuts. And that's been happening week over week since suspicions around losing our CPB funding, had started months ago. And it's not the end. We're not the first. We're not the last. We're going to see this at every size organization, whether you have 10 people or 300 people, in your budget accordingly. Every station manager that I have been talking to is facing these same cuts across the country.
As president and CEO, your job is to help KUNC and the Colorado Sound remain a vital community resource in the years ahead. How do you get there from this moment?
So really, what this will take is an absolute, to a certain extent, reinvention of public media, dare I say. And I've said it to staff here, and I'll say it again. I am a 10-year Chicagoan, so I have some alliance to Rahm Emanuel, and I'm really trying to look at this from crisis opportunity, right? And so it is a focus on the future, on shedding some of our own, shackles that have been holding us back as a system. And so to be more innovative, to be more collaborative, to be quicker moving in not making rash decisions, but trying and failing and being okay with trying and failing in forward movement. Our mission does not change. Our commitment to the community does not change at all. But how we get there and how we do it is important that we do it together, certainly here at KUNC and the Colorado Sound, in Colorado and system-wide, and in partnership with our donors, our underwriters, our grantors, things like that. So this really has to be a partnership all around moving forward for us to continue our public service mission and stay strong and grow stronger.
Tammy Terwelp is president and CEO of KUNC and the Colorado Sound. Thanks so much for talking with me.
Thank you very much, Erin. I appreciate it.
And we'll include a link in our show notes for a bit more about KUNC's budget and staff cuts that were announced this week. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.